Welcome to the Run It Back podcast, where we run back everything from the 80s and 90s. I'm Jason.
I'm Sarah.
And today we have a very special episode for you. Today is October 31st, 2019. And we are doing Halloween from 1978.
Right, we're a little out of our own rules here. So we had to make it a very special episode. All about the risks of
promiscuity and drug use.
That's right. Just like a good 90s very special episode.
After school special.
Right. Well, a lot of shows did very special episodes. Like I can remember Family Matters had a very special episode about gang violence where one of the kids got shot for their jacket and then they had like all the gang members turn in their guns and shit. And then at the end, you know, no matter what show it was at the end, it would show the cast all sitting there and they're
all serious.
Blah, blah, blah is a very serious issue.
Every weekend, blah, blah, blah people.
Right. So that's what we're doing. We're going to do a very special episode.
So, like always, we've watched the movie. It's all mute in the background just to kind of remind us of everything. Halloween was from 1978 and rules are meant to be broken. So we are 2 years outside of our boundaries, if you will. So the movie opens up to the music.
Right, with the pumpkin. And I never really noticed that the pumpkin's lights go in time with the music. That was just
coincidence for...
No way.
For most of it. Because every now and then it goes out of sync. But
no, it totally flickers with the music.
I think that just happened to be...
Why can't it be awesome? Because it's 78? It reminds me of, you know, you see all the videos of, like, the houses for Halloween or Christmas that have the lights to the sounds, or the pumpkin house in Canova. They have all the pumpkins. Like, they have pumpkins carved in the shape of different instruments, and they light up as that instrument plays. Like, it is awesome.
Yeah.
So, it opens on Halloween of 1965.
63.
1965.
63.
1965.
It's on. Roll it back. Halloween night. 1963.
I definitely wrote down 65.
Well, in an effort to try to not get you to edit that out. It was 1963. Michael Myers was 6 years old.
Right.
So, you have some teens making out on the couch, and you basically see it from the point of view of somebody outside.
Right, but you don't know who yet.
So, they're at the front door, they're talking about their parents on the way home. Whoever's outside walks around the side of the living room.
The way they're carrying on, I hope it's just one of their parents isn't going to be home. I hope it's not both of their parents isn't going to be home until later. Because that is not a way for a brother and sister to behave. He asks if they're alone, and she says, Michael's around here somewhere. So they make out on the couch for a little while, and then he says, let's go upstairs. Okay. But you see all this through the window.
So, they go upstairs. Michael is outside.
No, we don't know it's Michael.
You find out it's Michael. Spoiler alert.
At this point, it could be anybody.
Fucking Michael. So he goes around back where the door's open. He comes in. He's a psychopath from the get-go because he goes for the kitchen knife.
Oh, yeah.
From the get-go. This wasn't like an accidental excitement kind of deal.
No, it was a plan.
He just slow walks into the kitchen, grabs himself a knife, walks upstairs, grabs his mask. When he reaches for the knife, you can kind of see he's in a costume. So he goes upstairs, there's a mask in the floor, which the guy picked up from the couch.
Right.
Well, actually, as he's walking through the house, the guy leaves. Like, they get done real quick.
Yeah, there's a lot of that to come. I got some stuff to say about it.
A lot of that to come.
Oh.
So, as he's getting around to the stairs, the guy walks downstairs. Judith, Michael's sister, says, call me tomorrow. And he's like, yeah.
He says, yeah, sure. I was like, I don't know that he's going to call her tomorrow.
I mean, does she want him to? It was over pretty quick.
It was over pretty quick. I don't know.
So Michael goes upstairs. He grabs that mask. He puts the mask on.
Right.
And you just see through the eye holes. So he walks...
Which is pretty impressive that he can do anything. Because it is hard to see through those eye holes. Like those, like you see through the eye holes and it's difficult, but also like any of those like 1980s, 70s, apparently 70s, 80s masks were just a bitch to see or breathe through.
So he walks into her room and she's just sitting there in her panties, brushing her hair, a little post-coital hair brushing.
Right.
He sees her boobs, and I guess that's enough to set him off.
I think he was set off before, right? Because
her.
he looks at the bed, like, clearly disheveled. Yeah. But I think he was set off before, just from seeing him, like, lightly make out on the couch.
So he kind of stabs her, and she does nothing to defend herself.
No, right? Like, he's a little fucking kid. Like, backhand that son of a bitch.
Like, you see a kid coming out, even if the kid's related to you, you're like, hey, you have a knife in your hand, don't step any closer. You drop kick that asshole in the face if need be. I mean, don't kill him, but let him know you're not going to sit there and let him stab you.
Just maim him a little?
Just maim him a little. So he stabs her, she falls out on the floor. He just casually walks outside. As he's walking outside, his parents are coming home. And they're like, Michael! And they take off his mask and he's just standing there holding the knife.
Just expressionless as could be. He's dressed as a clown.
So, he's already fucked up in the head. Like, there's no saving.
I mean, there has to be
whatever this is. There's no saving that.
There has to be some underlying issue, right? Because, I mean, watching two people make out doesn't set people off. Catching two people having sex doesn't. Like, do you know how many kids walk in on somebody having sex every day and none of them murder anybody?
None of them is a strong statement.
Well, you know what I'm saying. None of them, like, snap because we walked in on mommy and daddy.
Most of them don't.
It's not like I walked in on mommy and daddy or my big sister or whatever. Now she must die. It's just insane.
So then it cuts to Smith Grove, Illinois.
In 1978.
In 1978. The day before
Halloween. I got
Halloween.
one right.
The day before Halloween on October 30th. So it's 15 years later, and you're in a car with a nurse and
psychiatrist.
The psychiatrist,
Dr. Loomis.
You find out they are going to the psychiatric facility to actually transport Michael Myers to a court hearing.
Right.
The doctor basically, he doesn't want
him to
Michael
ever
to
be
get
free.
out. He doesn't want him to get out.
Says he hasn't spoken in 15 years, and he doesn't refer to him as him. Or he.
It.
He keeps saying it. And the nurse is kind of put off by it. She's like, can we not refer to him as him?
Yeah,
and he was like, no.
She's coming from the point of view, like, this is a patient of yours. And for 1978, that was pretty progressive. Because most crazy people, they just locked away anyway.
Well, he was pretty well locked away.
Was he, though?
Yeah. Apparently not, really.
They arrive near the facility. Which the facility is kind of locked down anyway, but it's raining.
It is nighttime. It is pouring the rain, and there's just patients in white gowns walking around all over this yard. And the nurse is like, "Since when do they let them walk around like that?" No, fuck that. You do a 180 and you get the hell out of there. I'm not going to a
crazy place.
I was going to say loony bin, but that seems offensive.
Psychiatric facility.
I'm not going to a psychiatric facility with mental patients just wandering around the yard. A maximum security mental facility as well.
Yeah.
With all these freaking psychos walking around outside. No. And you can see the front gate is like...
It's locked down. Like it's a big
gate. The front gate is like bent back.
I thought it was locked down. Well, Dr. Loomis gets out of the car and goes to run to the front gate, which...
See, right there, you could see that side is just, like, bent back.
So he goes to run to Dr. Loomis goes to run to the front gate, and I guess he's intercom system, something trying to, like, see what's going on.
Right.
As he does that, somebody jumps on the top of their car. And this dumbass opens the window.
Right, like, she starts looking around, and I thought she was going to, like, make sure the window was closed and lock the door, but no, she rolls the window all the way down.
Yeah.
So he could just stick his hand through the window and grab her by the damn head.
So she never puts the car in park, I guess. Lets off the brake, and as she struggles with him, the car starts rolling. She climbs over to the other side of the car. She eventually gets out.
Well, he just breaks the glass. Like, he takes his palm and just, like, palm smacks the glass, and it shatters. Do you know how fucking strong you gotta be to break glass by just palming it?
You could do it. Probably not the way he did it, but, people could do it.
Not in a car.
Yeah.
That's safety glass. No, they make...
It was 1978. That safety glass wasn't as good as
tools specifically for that you can, like, put on your key ring because you're not going to be able to break it.
Anyway, she jumps out. He jumps in. You can tell he's just got the gown on, and he drives away. So he stole their car.
Right.
Then it cuts to Haddonfield, Illinois, back where all this started. And
it is now Halloween Day.
The morning of Halloween.
So you get Lori, Jamie Lee Curtis, leaving her house, walking to school. Her dad's a real estate agent. Was like, don't forget to drop the Myers key off at the house. They're going to come by and look at it today. So she's walking to school. She has the key. A little boy named Tommy runs up to her. You find out she's going to babysit Tommy tonight. He's like, they walk up to the Myers house. And she's like, what? He's like, what are you doing? And she's like, I have to put this key over there. And he's like, you can't go over there. She's like, watch me. And she walks up and puts the key under the mat. And he's like, no, you can't. And the whole time, like, you see, I almost said Jason. You see Michael's face, like, come look out the glass at her.
Like, you see him from behind, so you just see his silhouette.
Okay, fair enough. But you can hear him breathing if you want to. There you go. Yeah.
So, and this house was abandoned immediately after all this. I guess the family rolled out.
Yeah, they said nobody had lived there since.
So this is definitely a fixer-upper.
Yeah, it's in real disarray. I don't know who's buying that. I hope they're getting a good deal.
You'd think so. Every other house looks pretty decent along that block.
Yeah.
So, as they walk away, Michael walks out behind her. He's just breathing through the mask as she's just walking down the sidewalk. So then they cut back to the doctor. He's at the facility talking to the guy who runs the place. He's yelling at him for letting this happen, letting Michael get loose. Basically, he thinks Michael's pure evil. There's nothing that's going to stop him.
He's like, he's not a man. He's a monster. Poor old Dr. Loomis tries to warn everybody. He spends like 5 of these movies warning everybody.
Cuts to Jamie Lee Curtis. She's in class at school, and they have a lesson on fate.
Fate and destiny.
And the day of reckoning, which doesn't look too well.
It's kind of like
what they did in A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Earlier this week with the lesson in Nightmare on Elm Street about things aren't always how they seem.
Yeah, so they definitely pulled that from here. Lori kind of daydreaming, looks out the window, she sees a car, she kind of thinks it's weird. The teacher is kind of a bitch. Like, the teacher asked the question and gave her about half a second to answer.
She sees Michael standing behind the car. He's actually standing there.
Is he?
Yeah.
I thought he was just in the
car. No, he's standing behind it.
So she answers her question like a fucking boss.
Right, like to not really be paying attention. She answered the hell out of that question.
No attitude. She should have added like about 80% more attitude.
That's not her character.
Just to be like, hey, I was fucking listening. You don't got to be that way.
That's not her character, and you don't really do that in high school.
In real time, it was, hey, this is the question. Jamie, are you going to answer the question?
I don't think she called her Jamie. I think she probably called her Lori.
Oh, what the fuck ever. You get real time. That was about how much time she gave her.
Well, and she's said like, what?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it's this. Mic drop. She looks back out the window. Car's gone. Little bit creepy.
Yeah, for like a crazy person, a big old crazy person, he moves lightning fast.
Oh yeah,
he is very quick on his feet.
But he's never been seen as being quick on his feet.
He's not quick on his feet when he's chasing you, but when he's just disappearing,
he's got that weeping angel speed.
He does. He kind of does.
He's got that weeping angel.
You're not watching him.
Him and Jason got a touch of the weeping angels.
People are like, what the fuck is he talking about?
So then it cuts to, you see Tommy.
Poor Tommy, man. Kids are dicks.
There's 3 kids kind of bullying him, basically telling him the boogeyman's going to get him. One of them ends up pushing him over, but Tommy's carrying a pumpkin, and it breaks the pumpkin. I'd have been pissed.
I'd have been so mad. Pumpkins are expensive.
They're not that expensive.
We just spent a ton on pumpkins today, and they were half off.
Also bought 8 of them. Most people don't buy 8.
It was $32, half off. We got $64 worth of pumpkins in the garage.
So, which we will probably post pictures of later.
I will post pictures of. By now, they are probably up.
the bullies kind of run off after the pumpkin breaks, and one of them runs out onto the sidewalk on the street, and Michael actually grabs him, stops him, but just kind of lets him go, and starts following Tommy.
Right. I don't feel like there's any justice in this world here. Cause if he's gonna kill somebody, don't let it be sweet little Tommy.
Evil.
Don't follow him.
Evil doesn't follow justice.
Follow the little dickbag that just told him he was gonna get killed by the boogeyman tonight and then broke his pumpkin.
He's probably like, kid, shut up. I got a plan here.
Don't out me, man. I'm trying to do some shit.
If it wasn't for you meddling kids.
Is there a Halloween movie out here that you're not going to relate back to Scooby-Doo?
Scooby-Doo is the best. We're gonna have to do an episode on one of like the bigger Scooby-Doo movies that have like the big bad voodoo daddies.
We'll do it.
They have like the mansion scene with the hallways and the doors.
Are you saying that we're going to do another Run It Back very special episode?
So, Michael Myers follows Tommy. Tommy's walking home. Michael Myers gets in the car. And he's just kind of following him. And then he does like the super creepy move where he gets up and just keeps pace with Tommy side by side with him. And Tommy just not paying attention at all for a good 4 or 5 seconds and then pulls away.
I feel like a lot of people in this movie didn't have a lot of situational awareness. Like a lot of times they were being followed or there was somebody like creepily close to them that they weren't aware of. Like, how do people do that? Like when we're passing somebody on the interstate and they turn and look at us, I feel that. I'm like, oh, that person in that car going 70's looking at me. Like, how do people not know there's somebody right there? I don't get it. But it cuts to Loomis, and he is, again, just trying his heart out to warn people.
He is 73 miles outside of Haddonfield. He found a payphone on the way. He's talking to the police. He's trying to warn them.
Right. But then, when he hangs up, he sees, like, this abandoned work truck. And the door's open and he starts looking around and there's like...
It's the matches from the car.
Well, tossed around is the gown.
The
gown. Thank you. I kept trying to say robe and that wasn't right.
So he stole the overalls.
He stole the overalls from the work guy. He didn't find him, but he's dead in the bushes.
He finds all that stuff. And then it cuts to Lori and her friend Linda walking home. They're eventually joined by Annie. They see she sees the same car from earlier. Speeds by. One of them says something like speed kills or something.
Yeah, Annie steps out and yells at it and he just screeches to a damn halt.
He slams on the
brakes. I was kind of expecting him to throw it in reverse, but he's never driven before. He went to that asylum when he was 6. I think maybe he just couldn't get it in reverse.
He's just like, fuck these bitches, move on.
Because, the main dude at the psychiatric facility was like, he can't drive a car. He's never driven a car. And Loomis was like, well, he's doing pretty good with it last night. Maybe somebody here taught him how to do it. Because he does make a fair point that he went in this place when he was 6 years old. He shouldn't know how to drive a car.
Yeah.
But he is doing pretty fair with it.
Michael, even from the get-go, even in the opening scene, he never talks, he never makes a sound. But you could tell he was very observant. So he
because all he does in the movie is observe.
Yeah. So he was always watching people. So Annie and Lori are babysitting kids that basically live across the street from each other.
And then Linda's just a hoe bag. Making plans for her and her boyfriend to go over to the house where Annie's babysitting so she can hook up with the boyfriend.
Yeah. So the first one to get home is Linda. She goes off, leaves Lori and Annie walking. Lori sees Michael Myers standing by these bushes, and she mentions him. Annie looks, he's not there. Annie runs up to confront him because Lori told him it was the same guy that was in the car.
Right.
So she runs up there, she's mad, she's going to confront him. He's not there, he's gone.
Right, because quick on them feet.
So she decides to fuck with Lori a little bit and was like, hey, he wants to go out with you, he wants your phone number or whatever. So Lori walks up there, he's not there. She was just fucking. So Annie goes into her house.
Well, wait. Annie talks to her about, you can, date people, and why don't you ever go out and do anything? And she was like, guys think I'm too smart. Which, I don't know from a guy's point of view, if you've ever thought, like, oh, that girl's too smart, like, that's a turnoff or anything. I don't feel like from you have. But girls are kind of, I don't want to say taught, but, like, taught. Like, nobody sits us down, like, our moms aren't sitting us down to be like, no, don't be too smart. But maybe they were back then. But you are kind of taught that, like, guys don't like women that are too smart and kind of play dumb and shit. Like, I didn't have it in me. But I feel like a lot of girls do it. I don't know so much now still, because I'm old and decrepit now. But it was definitely a thing, especially in, like, the 70s, 80s, a little bit in, like, the 90s. The 2000s, I would say, it probably got out of a little bit, but it definitely was a thing, like, oh, don't be too smart around a guy. They won't find you attractive.
That's a complete turnoff to me.
To you, yeah, but I feel like a lot of guys probably dug it.
When you see two people talking, you can tell the girl is obviously hamming it up that way. Mm-hmm. Like, you just want to smack her. Like,
Linda. Linda very much hams up the dumb role, right?
Yeah.
Like, she's talking about, like, the cheerleading practice, and then I have the game, and then I have to get my hair done, and then the dance is at 8 o'clock. And then Lori says she forgot a chemistry book, and Linda's like, who cares? I forget my chemistry book all the time, and my math book, and my French book, and my science book, and my English book, and well, just really all my books, because who needs books? And she's, like, the popular one who's, like, making out with the boys and shit. So, you know, it was a thing.
Kind of messed up.
Kind of messed up. Just a PSA for all the girls. Don't act like you're stupid. And don't be stupid.
Don't be stupid.
Take your chemistry book home. Learn some shit. Don't marry a doctor, be a doctor.
There you go. So, Annie walks into her house. Lori's looking around. She's kind of freaked out by the dude that she keeps seeing. She bumps into a cop, which happens to be Annie's dad. Kind of startles her a little bit. She rounds the corner to her house, and she sees some trick-or-treaters, which to me seemed kind of early in the day. Because they just got out of school. They're walking home.
Right.
So, it seemed a little bit early.
It was a little early, yeah.
So, she goes inside. She goes into her bedroom, and the window's open. She goes to shut the window, and down below in the yard, in the clothesline, she sees Michael Myers.
Yeah, he's stalking her hardcore.
She gets startled. She looks back. He's gone. Then her phone. She answers it. Silence.
It's not really silence. It's just,
something.
It's like...
So you immediately think he somehow fucking went to a payphone, got into somebody's house, got a phone, whatever.
Found her number.
She hangs up. Phone rings again. It's Annie.
Right.
She's like, why'd you hang up on me? I was chewing. I had my mouth full, whatever. Laura thought it was an obscene phone call, which I haven't heard of in years.
Okay. Anyway, Annie tells Lori that her mom's going to let her use the car and she'll pick her up at 6:30.
Yeah.
Lori gets ready. She gets her pumpkin because she promised Tommy that they'd carve a pumpkin. She gets her blanket.
Do you think she knew Tommy broke his?
Well, she just tells him. She doesn't know Tommy had a pumpkin. She just told him that they could carve him tonight. She gets her little bag and her blankie, and Annie picks her up. She has this real good girl thing going for her, but then Annie hands her a joint. And she's like, we just have enough time. And they just roll around town smoking this joint, which I thought was so weird because, you know, that's one of the rules in Scream. No drugs.
No drugs. But you tell she was definitely a rookie.
She wasn't inhaling?
She was coughing. It was bothering her. She was looking at Annie like, I don't know why you do this shit.
Right. But it just seemed out of character for her to get high to go babysitting.
I mean, sometimes you gotta get your mind right.
I guess. But they roll up. They see Annie's dad, who's the cop. They're trying to, like, put it out and, like, clear the smoke out. And a hardware store had been broken into. And they pull up and ask him what was going on. And he was like, oh, it's probably just some kids. They didn't steal much. A mask, some rope, and a couple of knives. So who else would it have been? You're just like, oh, shit.
Well, before that, it cuts to the doctor. He's at the cemetery with the guy that works there. They're looking for Judith Myers' they're looking for Judith Myers' grave.
Right.
They finally get there. Her headstone's gone.
It's gone.
Completely gone. And I guess the guy that works there thinks kids did it, but Dr. Loomis pretty much figures out that Michael did it.
He's like, he's come home.
Yeah. So then you have the whole...
Which is also impressive. Like, to just rip with your hands a headstone out of the damn ground and carry it away, because those are heavy.
So then it cuts to the hardware scene, and there's no way the dad didn't smell that. Like,
well, Lori kept saying...
Windows rolled up.
Yeah.
They didn't roll the windows down until
they got to him. Yeah.
There's no way.
Lori kept saying, I know he knew. I know he smelled it. He had to have. And Annie was like, oh, he did not. And I was like, if he didn't, he's a pretty shit cop.
Like, he knew. There's no way he didn't.
Right.
So then you see, like, but on the way to the hardware store, Michael was in a car behind them.
Right.
Dr. Loomis is trying to talk to Annie's dad, the cop, and say, try to let him know what's up with Mike. He's like, I'll be back in 10 minutes. I gotta do something. He's looking at the hardware store, and you see Michael drive right behind.
Right.
So the whole time he's looking for this dude, he's right there.
Right. And Annie and Lori are in the car, and Lori's like, so what are you gonna wear to the homecoming dance tomorrow? And Annie was like, I didn't even know you thought about things like that. She was like, you could ask somebody. She was like, no, I can't. And they talk about who she wants to take. But Annie's giving her a real hard time about, like, being plain and being smart and not going to the dance and not being into boys and this and that. Like, she's giving her a real hard time to be her friend.
Giving her shit.
Guys give each other shit. Girls are bitches to each other.
Maybe that's just y'all's way of giving each other shit.
Yeah, it's not in a fun manner. It's actually being mean to one another. Girls are awful.
Were you ever mean to somebody on purpose?
I feel like...
You about to plead the fifth?
Probably. I was probably mean to people on purpose. But I feel like other people were mean to me on purpose far more.
I don't think I've ever been mean to somebody on purpose. That wasn't like a joke. Like, I've never been purposefully mean to somebody I didn't like just for the kicks of it.
It's because no. It's not people that you don't like. These are your friends.
Maybe that's why y'all can't get along.
High school girls, especially middle school girls, but a little bit still residual in high school girls, are just awful. Awful.
Maybe that's why y'all can't get along. You get a room full of girls, especially if I walk into a place with nothing but girls. They always fighting with each other.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, let's just work. Let's just do our jobs. Like, y'all don't have to like each other to work with each other.
Yeah.
Like, y'all just gotta be around each other.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough.
So,
just real fast while we're just talking about shit here. They said that most of the cast provided their own wardrobe and that Lori here bought all of the outfits she wore at JCPenney's for $100. And I'm assuming that she did so in the grandma section. Also, this is Jamie Lee Curtis's first movie. She was like 19 years old. How does she look older in this movie than she does now?
Yogurt.
Goddamn probiotic yogurt. Son of a bitch. Like, her hair, I guess, is blonde, but it's kind of this weird color that makes it have, like, this kind of...
grayish tone.
Like, grayish grandma tone to it. And then I guess maybe her wardrobe's throwing me a bit, but she just looks like an old lady.
But you gotta think, like...
But now, Jamie Lee Curtis kind of looks badass.
I mean, she's old as fuck now.
So?
She's like 67.
She's not like 67.
Google it.
How old is Jamie Lee Curtis?
Jamie Lee Curtis is 60 years old.
So I was off by 7.
But look at her. I mean, other than the wrinkles, like, she looks old here, man.
Nah, you're just seeing it through the clothes. You gotta think it's 1970.
Her hair, too. The hair is just old.
Like, if she had worn this skirt, which comes down, like, halfway to her calf, if she had worn that without the stocking things, people would have been like, oh my god, I can't believe they did.
Do you feel like Amy Farrah Fowler from The Big Bang Theory gets all of her wardrobe tips from Lori? But here in this scene, when she has on the like the big ass bell bottom jeans and the shirt, she kind of looks more normal, but her hair still just has like this weird gray quality to it that I can't.
I think it was just the lighting.
I guess
the fall vibes.
Oh yeah, you gotta hate that studio lighting. Like,
they're outside. They're outside. Alright, fun fact. Also a connection to Nightmare on Elm Street. these leaves here, they're in Southern California, or they're somewhere in California, so this doesn't happen as much. These leaves were brought in by people from like was it Pasadena where they filmed this?
I have no idea.
They brought leaves and spread them around certain yards. Like that yard right there has no leaves at all.
Right.
And then the yard behind hers got a few here and there.
Right.
Like the guy, Robert Englund,
right,
who played Freddy, his roommate talked him into doing this one day, and it just happened to be them filming Halloween.
Huh.
He only did it for one day, but he said they had to, spread the leaves around. Like, the only place that had leaves on that whole entire block is the house where she sat at the post waiting for Andy to pick her up.
Yeah.
So they only had a finite amount of leaves. They weren't going to waste them.
That reminds me of you last week, because our front yard has no leaves, but we decorated the front yard and made like a whole graveyard vibe that just doesn't look good without leaves.
No, it doesn't.
So you went to the backyard where all the leaves are, raked them
out front.
Raked them all up and then dumped them in the front yard. And I'm sure our neighbors are just like in their windows, like Bewitched style, like, what is he doing?
They're like, what the fuck is he doing?
This guy is crazy.
And they can't see the backyard. They have no idea where there's leaves. He's like, he's stealing leaves from somebody.
There's a privacy fence around the backyard. He has no idea what's going on.
And it's funny because the leaves are in this wheelbarrow thing, and I take the rake and I just take a swipe up and let them fall wherever. It had to have looked insane. I'm on Facebook Live somewhere. Somebody's going, look at this crazy asshole.
Yeah, there's a good chance.
So.
Oh, I didn't know that's how you did it. That's even funnier.
Like I did it, and then everything that kind of strayed, I just kind of swiped back into the middle. So Annie and Lori go to their respective houses.
Right. And now they're riding around daylight. They get to the house, couple blocks away. Dark as could be. Now, granted, she said she was gonna pick her up at 6. She said she's gonna pick her up at 6:30, and it did get dark here today about 7:00. So, okay, maybe they drove around and smoked this joint for longer than I had imagined.
Maybe they forgot where they're going.
That's possible.
So, they get there, but you could tell Michael Myers is behind them.
Right.
So, they get to the houses, and then Michael parks his car somewhere, and he's just creepily standing outside.
Well, hold on. Did you find it weird that, like, they had to take a car to the babysitting job and, like, drive for fuck ass ever to get there? But little Tommy...
Lori passes him on the way to school.
Right.
Walking.
Tommy walked to school this morning past Lori's house. Like, either they took the long way around in the car...
I think they were just joyriding.
Or little Tommy has some really shit parents who made him walk like 4 miles to school.
We'll ride around and get some Acrite ready for these kids.
Alright.
So Michael you gotta just see him creepily standing out in the yard. The doctor, I guess, has explained the situation to the cop, and they both go to Michael Myers' old house. They're searching through the house to see if anybody's there. In one room they find, was it food or was it a dead animal?
It was a dead animal because the cop says it could have been a skunk. Like, they're not sure what it is. And Dr. Loomis says he got hungry. And the cop says, no, there's no way a man could do that. And he said he's not a man.
No, he said this isn't a man.
Okay, this isn't a man. And they go upstairs to the room where he killed his sister. And Dr. Loomis is describing to the cop what happened. And then the window breaks.
Like a piece of a gutter or something falls
I couldn't
down.
figure out what broke the window because Michael was like across town standing in the yard stalking Annie.
Well, he's not across town. He's on the fucking way to school. Like, he's right there. He's a couple blocks away. Because she dropped the key off to the house on the way to school.
That was from her house, but now they're wherever they are babysitting.
Which was still Tommy came from.
Right,
the
yeah,
same
I don't
direction.
know. But you know, he's over there.
So the doctor basically says Michael Myers is pure evil. He keeps talking about that.
He tells the cop, I met him 15 years ago. When I met him, there was nothing left. He was only 6 years old, but he had a blank expression. Or he had blank eyes. Black eyes. They were the devil's eyes. I spent how many ever years trying to reach him, and then I spent the rest of the years trying to keep him locked up.
So Michael Myers is now 21 years old.
Okay.
Do you think if he would like had a beer, he would mellow out a little bit?
No.
Beer, a couple shots.
No.
You don't think he'd be that sad, drunk in the corner, just sulking? Go home, go to sleep?
No. Not at that point.
Not that either. Just fucking rager.
Like, he killed his sister at 6 years old because he saw her kiss somebody. And then he spent 15 years in a loony bin. I don't think a beer fixes that.
What about sexual release? Like, do you think if he...
He seems to have a real problem with sexual release, though, right?
Ejaculated a little bit and
He
released some tension?
He seems to have a real problem with sexual release, though. Like, that seems to be his, like, tipping point.
I don't know. It's almost like, at first, like, panties just set him off. Like, for some reason.
I don't know. I think there has to be something broke just in his head, because that's not a good enough reason to murder somebody.
So instead of the normal sexual arousement, blood going to the right organs, it's just anger in his brain.
Something happens, yeah. Like, instead of being like, I'm gonna tell Mom, and blackmailing his sister so Mom doesn't find out she was upstairs screwing her boyfriend, he just grabs a knife and butchers her.
He's like, Mom's gonna kill you. Let me just get this out of the way.
Yeah, it's very weird. And then something further breaks in his brain, because then he just fucking blank faces for the next 15 years.
What if he was always that way? Because we don't know what he was like. He never talked.
That is true.
He never made a sound in the opening scene.
Yeah.
Like, what if they just thought, I don't even know if they just thought something was wrong with him, like, and just didn't do anything about it. Like, hey, Doc, old Michael here, he just can't get him to talk to me, can't do anything. He does everything we ask him to do. He seems fine. He's just a little...
Maybe dressing him up like a clown is what set him off.
It was a terrible costume.
Maybe he was like, I'm not your damn clown.
But, like, I feel...
Or maybe
had to have been warning signs before.
Maybe something bad happened to him that night, because she was supposed to be babysitting him.
Ooh.
But when the boyfriend asked or if they were alone, she's like, I don't know, Michael's around here somewhere. Like, she didn't really care. So maybe something traumatic happened to him.
You were supposed to be watching me.
Maybe something happened to him that night while she was upstairs screwing the boyfriend, and then he just has, like, Miss Voorhees vibes. Was like, you should have been watching me. This is your fault that this happened to me.
What wouldn't it be if Miss Voorhees has Michael Myers vibes?
Not in the order that we did the podcast, no.
But in chronological.
But you know what I'm saying?
Maybe.
I think my backstory is better than he got upset that the sister had sex.
But he definitely got upset.
He got upset. Yeah.
He's
so anyway, the answer to your question is no. Jacking off would not make him better. This is not a Billy Blue Ball situation.
Billy Blue Ball strikes again. So the doctor has his plan, basically to stake out the house.
Right. The cop says, so what are we going to do? And Dr. Loomis says, I'm going to wait for him here. You go do blah, blah, blah. Like, go tell your men, don't radio it in because there'll be hysteria. Just tell your men to keep their eyes out.
Yeah. He doesn't want people, and this doesn't really show up until the later movies. Where they go on a manhunt.
Right. Where it does become kind of mass hysteria.
Yeah.
Because right now, nobody's believing old Doc Loomis. They're just like, oh, this guy can't be that bad. Like, he's just this, he's not as bad as you're making him out to be. He's trying to warn everybody, but nobody's really taking him, like, wholeheartedly here.
Yeah. So then they cut back to Lori and Tommy. They're looking at comic books, but there's an ad for Spalding in the back of the comic books.
On every one of them.
So Tommy asks what the boogeyman is before Lori gets to answer the phone ring.
Right.
It's Annie. And then you see Michael Myers is outside of Annie's house. Because you could hear Annie on the phone, the dog, Lester.
They have like a German Shepherd is throwing a fit
at Annie. And Lori can hear it on the phone.
Right.
Then you see Michael outside, and you hear the dog barking, so you know he's there at her house.
Right. Well, Tommy sees him standing outside, and he interrupts her while she's on the phone. He's like, the boogeyman's outside, the boogeyman's outside. And she looks, and she's like, nobody's there. Now, he does this several times throughout the night, tells her that the boogeyman's outside. And she looks and nobody's there and she just dismisses him, which is so weird, right? Because you spent the entire first half of the movie seeing the damn boogeyman, and then when you look again, he's not there. Like, she's seen him like 5 or 6 times at this point. Like, why wouldn't she believe the child?
Because she's 16 or 17. She's a little self-absorbed. I mean, she doesn't come off as that way, but I feel like all teenagers are a little self-absorbed. You know what's going on. You know you're always in control, blah, blah, blah.
It's just weird that she sees him.
And she just sees Tommy as a little kid. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
I guess. At one point, she does ask, what was he wearing? Or what did he look like? And he was like, he looked like the boogeyman.
Yeah. So this time, Annie has set up Lori to go to the dance with this dude she likes.
Right.
And that's
Lori
when
ain't happy.
Tommy sees Michael Myers. He's gone. So
Annie hollers at Lindsay, which is the little girl she's babysitting, to put the dog outside because it's barking. And then she's making something, popcorn or something, and she spills like a minute amount of stuff on her.
And she stripped down quick. Like, as soon as she stripped down, you know she's dead.
Like, I know that butters and oil, it's going to stain. I gotcha. But she spilled such a tiny amount, like, on her shirt.
Butter is not an oil. It's fat.
She spilled, like, such a tiny amount on her shirt. But she took off the shirt, the bra, the pants. There was, like, a white dress shirt hanging there. I guess like the dad's or something. She puts it on. She just has on the dress shirt, her panties, and some knee-high socks.
But Michael Myers saw her in the panties and socks, and from that point, you know.
But I was like, that seems like a real overreaction to a tiny amount of butter on your shirt.
So, the dog starts barking outside.
Oh.
Because the dog sees Michael Myers. She's yelling like, hey, Lindsay, Lester's barking again. And then you hear like, woof, woof, woof. And then it just shows Michael Myers holding up the dog like he bit this thing's neck or something.
I think he broke its neck.
He broke his neck. And then I think he took a bite out of him. I don't know.
He could have. I don't know.
Like the crime dog.
But Annie says, there, he's done. I guess he found a hot date or something. And I was like, that dog clearly is in pain. Like, are you a dumbass? Like, when a dog goes, oh, it's hurt. Like, go check on the dog. I do not advocate leaving the house in a scary situation to go explore. But if there's a dog, go check on the dog. I am 100% going to die because I leave the house to save my dog.
I would save my dog, but
that's how I'm going to die. I once had a dream that the dogs were bitten and became zombies, and I couldn't put them down. So I kept them in their kennel and just fed them like hot dogs through the holes in the kennel.
You're fucked up.
They're my puppies. They're my little babies. So
at this point in the movie, it switches back over. Lindsay is watching The Thing on TV.
Yes, she is. Annie gathers up all her clothes and like walks them outside. Like she has
30
to go,
yards away from
she has to go to like the end of the yard to this washroom to wash her clothes. And this room only has a washer and a dryer in it. I don't know if this was a common thing in the 70s, but I'm going to need my washer and dryer in the house. Like, I've been butthurt before that it's in the basement. Like, I need that in the house. I mean, I know it's California. They don't have like a lot of like crazy weather, but I'm not walking out there in the winter.
Technically, it's Illinois.
Oh, okay, my bad. Well, that makes it way worse. It's Illinois. They got hella winters. I'm not walking out there in the winter do my clothes. Your family's house, you have to walk outside to the porch and then through another door to get to the laundry room. And I think that's too much. I think that's ludicrous.
Well, that's a really old house.
I know it's a really old house.
Actually, there's a doorway.
I'm not down in your family. I'm just saying that is insanity that you have to leave the house to do the damn laundry.
I think there's a doorway in a closet the other way. But it might be blocked. Because they got all new stuff. I think the new stuff's bigger than the old stuff.
What part of there's a doorway in a closet is supposed to not be creepy as shit?
Some houses are creepy.
I don't even want to go to your house anymore.
So she goes in and the door kind of slams shut, but it's still cracked open when she looks around.
Right.
But you've already seen Michael out there creeping on her. Door slams again and it shuts all the way. She walks over there and she can't get it open. So she's locked inside this washroom.
Right.
She yells for the kid. The
Who's
house is
not gonna
30
hear
yards
her?
away. She's watching TV. The phone starts ringing. She hears the phone somehow. Yells for her to answer the phone because it's her boyfriend and she wants to get laid.
Oh yeah, she's way more upset that her boyfriend's calling and nobody's answering the phone than she is that she's stuck in that room.
Lindsay, being a kid, is kind of absorbed into the TV show.
She does
Ignores
answer
the
it
phone for a
the
little
second
bit.
time that he calls. But she answers it. He says, "Hi, Lindsay, this is Paul. Is Annie there?" And she's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Could you go get her?" And she's like, "She's outside washing clothes." He's like, "Well, just tell her it's me." And she's like, "Okay." And just hangs the shit up on him.
Yeah,
just hangs up on him and then walks outside and was like, "Paul called." And then you could hear her yelling, and she goes in and, unlocks the door. She's like, "You locked yourself in here." And she has tried to crawl out the window.
Why does it have a lock on the outside?
I don't know. It's weird. Her foot, well, I mean, I guess because, why does your house have a lock on the outside? No, it don't, does it?
No, she didn't have a key. She just reached up and unbolted it. Why do you have a lock on? Who are they keeping in this washroom? I guess
it's in the backyard, so I guess
the
she
Wallaces have some answering to do for this washroom that's all the way in the backyard, way towards the back, trees all around us and nobody can see. And what are they keeping in this sketch-ass washroom? Because you don't have a lock like that on it.
So what you're saying is it's like a Walking Dead barn situation, or like a Shaun of the Dead.
Keeping him in there?
Where he keeps his buddy in there after he becomes a zombie?
Yeah.
Huh.
The Wallaces are some weird... And you can tell Lindsay's got a little bit of that weirdness. Lindsay's a
little sketch ass. But anyway, Annie gets her foot stuck in a laundry cart.
Well, no, she's halfway out the window.
So she's stuck in the window.
She's out the window, but she gets her foot stuck, flailing about.
Right.
Lindsay walks over there, helps her get her foot out, she gets unstuck.
Right. She's like, "Please, you have to promise me, tell nobody." And when she walks back in the house, the phone's ringing, and Lindsay just picks it up, and she's like, "She's right here. She got stuck in a window," and gives her the phone.
But I didn't think it was that big of a deal anyway. Other than questions for the
Let me tell you something.
Parents that have this house.
Girls think everything's a big deal. When they're that age, girls just think everything's a big deal. I once got all but cussed out by a teenage girl who shall remain nameless because their boyfriend called and I said, "She's in the bathroom. She'll have to call you back." She was taking a shower. I didn't say that. But, you would have thought I had said, "She has explosive diarrhea. She can't come to the phone." This guy didn't know that she ever peed. And she was mortified that now this guy knows that she's a human and has to pee. And, she damn near beat me. It was an issue.
I never thought. I'm sure I got embarrassed about certain things, but, little things, I
don't know. Anyway, they walk into the house, but they don't close the door behind them.
No, you always close the door.
They don't close the door behind them, and you just see Michael Myers' face pop up in the window or in the door as they walk away.
To the list, rule number 1, double tap. Rule number fucking 2, or rule number 1's cardio.
Right.
Then there's double tap, but you close the door. That door is there.
You always have to close the door.
As a barrier and an alarm system for you.
Yeah. But old Paul's parents left, and he wants Annie to come pick him up so they can go back to the house she's babysitting at and get it on.
Get that vitamin D!
So, she tries to get Lindsay to come with her to go pick him up. She won't do it. So she takes her over to Tommy's house and has Lori babysit her. But she's going to drive over there just in this random man's shirt and a blanket.
Well, she bribed Lindsay over there by, if I set it up to where you could watch TV with Tommy Doyle, will you go? So she goes watch TV with little Tommy.
Mm-hmm.
So she runs, after she drops Lindsay off across the street, runs back to the car, she forgot the keys, she goes back in the house, she comes back out to the car. She notices that the windows are all fogged up. She kind of thinks it's weird. She puts her finger on, slides down, and Michael Myers pops up in the back and chokes her out.
But yeah, he chokes her out.
And after he chokes her for a while, then he slits her throat and just...
He chokes a surprising amount of people, because I always, when I think of him, imagine the ee. But he chokes a surprising amount of people.
Yeah. Cuts back to Tommy and Lindsay watching TV, And
Well, first,
Lori had told Tommy that Halloween's about people try to trick each other, and he notices Lindsay's watching TV. She's not really paying attention to him. He sneaks behind the couch, gets behind the curtain, and just starts trying to mess with her. But as he turns around, he sees Michael Myers carrying Annie back into the Wallace house,
right,
where she was.
He starts screaming and losing his shit. But of course, Laura doesn't believe him again. No boogeyman. It shows Dr. Loomis, he's still standing in those bushes watching the old Myers house. And all the little asshole kids from a minute ago that were bullying poor Tommy are now trying to sneak up to the house. Like they're double dog daring each other to go up there and like go inside. And one of the kids gets to the door and Loomis starts like throwing his voice from the bushes. It was like, hey, get away. Hey!
He's like, one of the kids had said the other kid's name. I don't know if it's Billy or something.
Yeah,
But he's like, Billy, get your ass away from there. And they all freak out and take off.
They all take off running. And the cop comes up behind him and kind of scares him. And he, again, is trying to warn him. He's doing all he can. And the cop said, this town is all families. This block's all families, all houses. Are you telling me they're all just lined up for slaughter? And he was like, that is exactly what I'm trying to fucking tell you.
Yep.
So he says, oh no, later. Never mind, go ahead.
So then it cuts to Linda and her boyfriend pulling them outside of the house Annie was babysitting.
Right, just in the van, drinking.
In the van, just knocking them back. Sweet ass van, by the way. Like, it was very, like,
I feel like there was a mattress
70s.
I feel like there was a mattress in the back of the van.
They could have totally just parked at a local gas station.
They just could have found some train tracks and knocked it on out.
They could have done that. So they go inside. They're looking for,
which is creepy, right?
Oh, it's creepy that they want to go like bump uglies in some stranger's house.
Well, they think Annie's going to be there, but they like just open the door. Everything's dark. Annie's not there, and they just were like, "Oh, fuck it." She probably went to go do something and just make out on the couch.
Yeah. But then it gets weird. They call over to where Lori is.
Right.
They're asking where Annie is, and she tells them she went to go get Paul.
Right.
And she's like, cool. And then they figure out that Lindsay's not going to be there all night. So they just go up into, I don't know, the parents' room?
Right, the parents'
or somebody's room and start fucking. But there's a fucking pumpkin on the nightstand.
Yes.
Which I thought was weird.
There is it's not just a pumpkin. It is a lit up jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah. Like,
on the parents' nightstand in the bedroom, which is hella creepy.
Don't get me wrong. We just bought 8 of those bitches.
But none of them are going in our bedroom.
Yeah.
We're not crazy.
I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea.
None of them are going in the bedroom. But before that, when Linda and Bob pull up in the van, Linda's kind of giving him the rundown of what they're going to do. And he was like, we'll go in, we'll make small talk, Annie will distract Lindsay, and that's when we go up to like the first room on the right. And Bob's like, first I rip your clothes off. And she's like, don't rip my shirt, it's expensive. And he's like, and then you rip my clothes off. And she's like, yeah. And he's like, and then we both rip Lindsay's clothes off. Which I know he was joking. I know he was joking, but ew.
You know, when we watched this a long time ago, for some reason I always thought he said Annie.
Yeah,
and this was the first time I realized he said Lindsay.
He says Lindsay. He says the little kid. Well, I know he's joking and all, but I feel like that would just slam my vagina shut.
So they start
I like that you're just like, yeah.
They start making it on this couch in the dark, and this is when they first got into the house. Michael Myers is in the next room.
Oh, yeah.
So he sees the fatal sin.
Yes, of making out on the couch.
Making out on the couch, so you know these people are dead.
They go upstairs. I have some shit to say. Just let this be my turn here.
Hold on. They go upstairs, and they start doing the thing.
Number one, just before we get into this, I think it's funny that like in 3 shows now, there have been sex, and you just call it doing the thing.
Doing the thing.
You have never said doing the thing in your life until this podcast, and now...
Are you sure?
Now sex is just doing the thing.
I said, hey, I've used sentence enhancers. They've been fucking. They've been bumping uglies.
I'm just saying, you're cracking me up. So, they go upstairs. They're having sex. The jack-o'-lantern lit up on the nightstand. the phone keeps ringing. Well, they're not really having sex yet. They're just kind of doing some, like, foreplay. The phone keeps ringing. And she starts yelling at him because I guess he's not performing correctly. He's like, I can't help it. The phone keeps ringing. And she's like, does it distract you? And he was like, yes, I can't handle it. Answer it. She's like, I can't. What if it's, the people that fucking own the house? It'll get Annie in trouble. And so he just takes it off the hook.
No, he waited for it
He
to
waited
stop
till it
ringing.
stops ringing. Yeah, but he takes it off the hook so nobody can call.
But he's supposed to check the dial tone first to make sure nobody...
Doesn't matter. He then proceeds to get on top of her and they have actual sex for roughly
4 seconds?
10 to 20 seconds.
I don't think it was that.
I think 10 might be a bit generous. And then he rolls off and he's like, oh, yes. And she's like, oh my God, that was so great. And they like light cigarettes. And I was like, 10 seconds? 10 seconds? You had to take the phone off the hook for 10 seconds?
Seems like you should have left it on to distract him a little bit.
Oh my God. Like the first guy, like Judith's boyfriend did better than 10 seconds.
I don't know. I don't know that it did. Because they went upstairs when Michael walked to the back. Michael had enough time. He walked slowly, but he had enough time to grab a knife, walk through the kitchen, and through the living room to the stairs. The guy was already dressed, already heading out the door. Yeah.
I don't guess they had any cuddle time.
Like straight up Snoop Dogg, I'm gonna bust my nut and raise up off the cot. Like...
Alright.
So, they argue about getting beers. He's gonna go get a beer, and he goes, I'll be right back.
I'll be right back.
Like, you're dead.
Yep, that's a rule.
So he goes,
Hold on.
he goes down, and I guess they didn't bring their own beer. He's searching in their fridge.
Well, they did bring their own beer, but there's 2 empty cans in the living room, and then there's like 3 or 4 empty cans around the bed, so they're just out of beer at this point. Like, they've killed a 6-pack and just littered it around the house.
So, but he notices, he gets the beer, he notices that the kitchen door's open, and he thinks Linda's fucking with him.
Here's the thing, before that, like, he goes downstairs by himself, he did put on clothes.
He never turned any of the lights on.
He never turns any lights on, he gets beer out of the refrigerator, he needs a bottle opener for them, they're, like, in glass bottles, and he starts, like, rummaging through the cabinets, and all I can think is, what are you gonna do when the people that own this house come home? Like, you're just a strange guy. The babysitter's not there. Their daughter's not there.
You're fucking in their bed.
You're in their house. You're getting in their refrigerator. Your girlfriend's upstairs naked in the bed. Like, what are you going to say for yourself, young man? That's all I could think. Like, death may have been easier on him.
So first he yells, Annie, are you there? Then he thinks Linda's fucking with him. And he opens the door, like thinking Linda's going to be behind the door. Michael Myers walks out, grabs him by his throat, picks him up, like plants him kind of almost to the ceiling. Takes out his knife and just one, like, no like hack slash, just one good staples him to the cabinets.
Yeah. He's not going to be right back.
So he is going to stay right there.
Yeah. For a little while. But Michael Myers, in his geniusness, puts on a sheet, cuts little eye holes to make himself a ghost.
Grabs Bob's glasses.
Takes old Bob's glasses and puts them on and then walks up to the bedroom. And Linda's like, oh, that's so cute and clever. Oh my God. Ha ha ha. And he doesn't say anything. She's like, did you get my beer? And he doesn't say anything. And then she gets mad that he's not talking to her. And she's like, whatever, don't talk to me. This is stupid anyway.
She gets creeped out.
Gets out of the bed to go call across the street to Lori to see, like, where the hell Annie is at this point. And he just comes, like, the call connects. Lori answers, and he just starts choking her out with the phone cord.
Yeah.
But it sounds like an actual obscene phone call now, because she's just not dying as you would think. She's just like
struggling in like just, Serena Williams.
She's just full Wimbledon orgasm scream and just yeah, and then you have the guy behind her. Yeah, so that's all poor Lori hears.
So,
but still to her credit, is concerned.
But
She's still concerned.
When Michael Myers walked into the room, she gave him a glance at those titties.
Yes, she did.
So she shows her boobs, and I guess she never had a chance of living to begin with.
No.
Before that. But her chances went straight to 0.
Right. She flashed those boobs and was like, see anything you like?
So that combined with the beer cans, the promiscuity, and the drugs, she's a goner.
And that's what we're here to talk to you about tonight.
On a very special episode.
On our very special episode of Run It Back. Promiscuity, drug and alcohol use is no joke, and you can be slashed to death for that. Tens of teens are killed every Halloween for the exact same reason. If you think you or your friends might be at risk of being killed by a psychopathic murderer due to your promiscuity, drugs, or alcohol use, please contact your local police department.
I think you're reaching way too hard.
That's funny. Fuck you. That was a good stone-faced cold read.
Anyway.
Not read. Off the top of my head. I'd write that shit down.
So, Lori hears all of this. Michael then picks up the phone.
Right.
So then it cuts to the Myers house. The doctor's outside. He sees the car that Michael stole in the beginning.
Right.
Parked down the street. He runs over to it, just kind of searching. Then I guess he's just on high alert because he knows he's around there somewhere.
Right.
So Lori goes back. She goes to check on Andy. Lori goes to check on Annie. She locks the door to the Doyle house. The kids are upstairs asleep. She runs over there to check on
Did you think
Annie.
it was weird? I mean, they're like little kids. How old do you think they are? Tommy and Lindsay. Do you think it's weird that she put them in bed together?
It was weird.
It seemed a little weird.
She goes over and goes to the house.
She finds that back door open to the kitchen, and she walks in, and she shuts the door behind her.
Like you're supposed to.
She shut it behind her. She's the first person in 5 movies to shut the doors behind her.
Lori's searching the house Annie's babysitting.
Right.
She runs upstairs. She finds the headstone of Judith Myers at the head of the bed. Lori's laid out like she's the body of Judith Myers.
Annie.
Whatever.
Right. I would like to do a supercut of our podcast episodes. This is like episode 11 or 12 or something at this point. Of just me correcting you on names.
Anyway.
Sorry.
Lori walks upstairs to find Annie's dead body.
Right.
On the bed with Judith's headstone at the top.
Right. And didn't you feel like at that point the creepy lit up jack-o'-lantern on the nightstand was really appropriate?
It was a different room.
No, it wasn't.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Same room?
It was that room. And then she turns around and opens a closet, and out swings Bob from he's like suspended by his feet.
And for some reason she opened the wardrobe
and
door.
Then she opens the wardrobe, and there's Lori. No. Linda
stuffed in there.
That was karma.
Yeah. Goes around, comes around, bitch.
But Michael Myers comes out.
Slashes
and
at Lori's arm.
He comes out, and their faces are almost fucking touching. And she doesn't feel it.
Yeah.
And he takes his knife and slashes her arm. And she falls backwards over a banister.
He slashes her arm. She falls down the stairs. She tries to go running through the house. When she went in the kitchen, was it one of those weird things where there's a summer kitchen? Because she locks the door. And he has to hack open the middle of the door, reach around and unlock.
Right. But poor Lori, who's the only person, like I said, in 4 or 5 movies, to shut the door behind her, a rake has now fallen against that door.
No, I don't think it was falling. I think it was pushed through to lock it.
Oh, you think?
Yeah.
But she
definitely.
now cannot get out of that door she shut. So she waits until he hacks through the door, his door, and is coming at her before she punches through the glass and breaks the door and pushes the rake down and makes it out to the front yard, screaming and yelling. She runs to the neighbor's house.
Multiple neighbors.
And, well, to the one neighbor house, and like banging on the door, screaming and yelling. They turn the lights on. They open the blinds. They see that it's just a teenage girl, terrified and bleeding. Turn off the porch light and close the blinds.
Yeah, nobody was willing to come out.
Nobody was going to help her. How crazy is that?
So she runs back to the house she was babysitting at.
Right.
And can't find her keys where she locked them.
Right.
She's yelling at Tommy to wake up and come let her in. She throws a flower pot up to the second story where they're laying in bed.
And Tommy takes his good old time.
Oh, yeah.
Meandering down the stairs to wake her up, or to let her in.
He lets her in, like, just in time. She yells at him to go upstairs, lock him and Lindsay in a room, and hide. Lori turns around and notices that windows are open.
Yeah.
And she kind of knows she's screwed.
Yeah.
So she, like, squats in the corner by one of the other ones.
Well,
Jason comes through. No, he doesn't. Michael Myers comes through.
She kind of cowers in front of the couch, but she's pulling a knitting needle out of her bag. Like, she's kind of like, oh God, please stop. And she's like pulling this needle out the entire time. And he pops up over the couch and she just reaches behind and like sticks that needle like right in the fucking neck, and he falls back. And she assumes he drops the knife on the couch, and she picks it up and she turns and looks, and he's laying there, so he's fucking quote unquote dead.
At this point, he has killed 3 people that you have confirmed.
Right.
3 people killed confirmed. Double tap the hell out of this dude.
I mean, just saw with that knife until you get his head off or something. Cut his heart out. Hold it in your hand. I don't know. I need confirmation that he is dead. Like something he can't live without.
Yeah, that old poke in the neck wasn't good.
Like, cut the heart out and stomp it out. Do something. I mean, I know that sounds extreme. I swear to God, I'm not a psycho. But you gotta make sure he's dead. He's killed 3 people.
Double tap. So she had her chance there.
But she sees, like, she has the knife in her hand, and she thinks he's dead, so she just drops the knife. This is time 1. She gives the knife back to him. She runs upstairs to tell Tommy, like, it's okay. I killed the boogeyman, it's okay. And then the boogeyman comes up the damn steps, and they all freak out. They lock themselves back in a room.
The
she
kids
goes,
went one way, she went another, but she didn't really shut her door.
Right. She hides in the closet, which is like the most famous scene, right? Like when you think of Halloween, it's her hiding in the closet.
I just really think of the times like they just show Michael standing somewhere.
Okay, it's her most famous scene. She's hiding in the closet. But she doesn't have like a weapon of any sort. Like, she's a smart girl.
And she can't really keep it together once he starts opening the door.
She is smart enough to like bind the door together so he can't pull it open. But he just starts like ripping it apart. And then she jumps up and gets a coat hanger and like straightens it out to like make a weapon. But she seems like a real smart girl. Like, I would have fashioned me a weapon from the get-go.
But she ends up poking him in the eye.
She pokes him right in the damn eye.
He drops the knife.
Yes, he does.
She grabs it and smartly just jabs at him. He falls down.
Right. And she has it in her hand. She exits the closet. She decides he's dead again.
She should have double tapped.
So she gives the knife back to him for a second time. Just drops it right beside him.
I feel like you gotta stab in the chest until you think he's dead and maybe cut his head off. But you take the knife with you.
You always take the knife, but you never leave it for him. So then she again goes and gets the kids, and the boogeyman's really dead this time. I need you to go, run outside, go next door to whoever's house.
Go to the McKenzie's house.
Go to the McKenzie's.
Call the police.
That is also where the parents in Scream were going to go for help, next door to the McKenzie's house. Anyway, go to the McKenzie's house, tell them to call the cops, have them come here. She just sits in the floor, gaining her composure, I guess. He slowly sits up, stands up, she stands up. He walks up like right freaking behind her, and she has no like spatial awareness. But the kids run out of the house to go screaming, get help, and Dr. Loomis sees them. So he's like, that's my house. And he runs upstairs, and as Michael grabs her, he shoots him. 6 times.
Well, he shot him the first time Michael goes into the room that they just came out of.
Right.
Kind of shocks him back. He has a 6-shot, I guess a 38. So he empties the 5 other shots. Michael falls out of the window.
Off the second floor. He's laying there and you're like, okay, he's dead. And Laurie was like, it really was the boogeyman. And Dr. Loomis was like, as a matter of fact, it was. And then Dr. Loomis looks over the balcony or out the window and his body is just gone.
Michael's gone.
And the credits roll.
So all in all, you have...
Sets you up for that number 2 real fast.
Yeah. All in all, you have a psychopath who, at the sight of any kind of sexual activity being all the over the clothes stuff to the under the clothes stuff, gets so enraged that he must kill people.
It seems like a weird premise, right? Like, if I wrote out exactly what you just said, like, 6-year-old child becomes enraged at seeing sexual activity, spends 15 years in an insane asylum, returns home to murder other people that he sees having sexual activities.
You be like, this shit is garbage.
Nobody's greenlighting that to turn it into a movie, right?
No. But this is one of the most profitable movies ever made.
Yes, it is. This is a good movie.
It had like a $300,000 budget and made like $70 million.
It made more than that.
But I think it made how much? Are you saying from then until now?
From a budget of $300 million, the film went on to gross $47 million.
300,000.
What'd I say?
300 million.
Okay. From a budget of $300,000, the film went on to gross $47 million at the U.S. box office. In 2008 takings, that would be the equivalent of $150 million, making Halloween one of the most successful independent films of all time.
Well, that was just the first weekend. I think the total was 70. But then think of how much money they made on the sequels after that.
Right, but this, it obviously sets up the sequel, but the sequel, like most sequels, you know, same killer, different people, different story, different, you know, things happening. This sequel starts the second this ends. Like, Halloween 2 is them, like, taking Laurie to the hospital to deal with, like, her cut on her arm, and he disappeared from the lawn, so he's still hunting her, and Dr. Loomis is at the hospital with her. Like, it is just a continuation of the story, which is kind of weird. I mean, appreciated.
I don't think it's weird at all.
But, no, well, I mean, it's weird in the fact that that's not what sequels typically are, right? Like, Friday the 13th 2 is like a whole new set of campers and a whole different situation. And Nightmare on Elm Street 2, I mean, it still has Nancy in it, but just, it doesn't start from the second she was in that car.
Probably should have.
But you know what I'm saying. So it has a ton of sequels, and I think Halloween 4 is my favorite one.
Halloween 4 said the return of Michael Myers.
Right. Because Halloween 3 did not have Michael Myers in it at all.
What?
It was called Halloween 3 Season of the Witch and had jackass nothing to do with Michael Myers. It was just a completely different storyline that just borrowed the name. So Halloween 4 was the return of Michael Myers. And it's the one where the little brunette girl, she's Laurie's daughter.
She was
Rachel?
The neighbor on Roseanne, who David dated.
She was. She didn't date her, but yeah. I think her name was Rachel, right? The little brunette girl.
Maybe.
She's Laurie's daughter, but Michael Myers is stalking her in that one. And, like, they're all trying to keep her safe. He somehow murders, like, an entire police station full of people. And then, like, the one remaining cop has the little girl and the babysitter that's watching her at, like, his house. And Michael Myers breaks in there. And
Spoiler
then
alert.
somehow, at the very end, he's, like, mentally controlling the little girl. And she's dressed as a clown. And she pulls her clown mask down and gets a knife. And then stabs her mom. Like, the mom's drawing her a bath. And she walks in there and just stabs her mom. So in Halloween 5, it's that little girl in her own little insane asylum because she has also stopped talking. But it's not really her fault. Like, he controls her somehow. which is a little weird.
We could do those movies in the future.
Well, I just wanted to talk about that was my favorite one. I also want to talk about Halloween 2, but if you're going to be all bitchy about it, I won't do it.
What about Halloween 2?
Halloween 2, there's a death scene that sticks with me. It was in the hospital. It was a nurse. I thought it was a guy, to be honest with you, but I just watched it on, like, that clip on YouTube a minute ago so I would get it right, and it is actually a bare-chested nurse, like, female nurse. Big boobs.
Oh, she shouldn't have showed him her boobs.
She had no chance. But he holds her head down in a hot tub, and he brings her up every now and then and, like, shoves her back down in there, but every time he brings her up, more and more skin is just...
Yeah, like, how hot was that hot tub?
It was in the red. Like, more and more skin is just sloughing off her face.
You know how hot it's gotta be to do
and
that.
then he holds her in there the last time, and he picks her up, and he just throws her to the ground, and all of her skin is just sloughed off. And it was so nasty. And right after that scene, I watched it when I was little. Right after that scene, my mom was like, dinner time! And we had to turn off the TV, and she had made, like, whatever it was with dinner, but with salad as well. And I didn't really want my salad. My stepbrother didn't either. We were like, we'll just eat it last. But by the time it got around to salad time, it was soggy, and it was gross. And it looked exactly, it had like absorbed the salad dressing, and it looked exactly like the sloughed off skin. And for some reason, my mom picked that one night to take a stance. It was like, you will both sit there until you eat it. So we sat there all night. Like, we weren't budging. Like, we would try to lay our head down. She's like, pick your head up. You're sitting there until you eat that salad. And we sat there until bedtime when she finally was like, just fuck it, you win. Go to bed. But we, in solidarity, did not eat the damn face sloth salad.
But if you would have ate it first...
It probably would have been fine. But no little kid wants salad.
I like salad.
I like salad now too, but I didn't want it then. It's not like we were like... It's not like we were always like, oh, let's have salad with dinner. It was just like a one-off.
I think my mom tried to do that with Brussels sprouts once.
I think you also sat there, right?
I sat there because, you know, at the time, I have had Brussels sprouts since. They're not bad if cooked in a proper manner. These were just like out of a frozen bag, boiled, whatever. Like, not eating them. Not gonna do it. Ain't gonna do it. So I sat there probably like a half hour.
Oh, your mom gave in quick.
Yeah. ADD, I don't know. But my stepdad was like, he's not gonna eat them. Like, just...
Yeah. No, my stepdad was like, they'll sit there. Because I would say dinner was usually like 4 or 5. And we sat there like our bedtime was like 9:30. So we sat there like 4 or 5 hours.
Jesus.
All night.
Could you go pee?
I don't know. I don't recall having moved at all. But
uncomfortable in those chairs.
I don't think we were allowed to talk either, but it was just like eye signals, like we were across the table from each other, like, motherfucker, you don't eat that salad and you don't move your ass. But we were so proud when we won. Like, I remember like being too scared to say anything, but both of us just like smirking as we went to go brush our teeth, like,
in the bathroom, like fist pumping.
Yeah. We got her. Told her I ain't going to no goddamn salad. That's funny. I guarantee she doesn't remember that story and will deny it until her death.
What do you got next?
I have that this movie was pretty much universally beloved, except for, I don't want to say millennials because we're millennials. What is this new generation like?
Z.
Like the tail end of millennials or Generation
We
Z?
are elder millennials.
Right.
The tail end of millennials and Generation Z are what people make fun of and talk about.
When they say millennial.
When they say stuff like that. But then I've seen some funny memes on the internet about boomers versus millennials, and the boomers always come out bad.
I love so much. It was like my family's reunion or something, and everybody over the age of 50 had their cell phone out. Was just like, it was cracked just on Facebook. And
all the people who should have been on cell phones weren't.
You quietly,
all the old people were on phones.
Quietly got yours out and hit record and just panned it around the room.
Like, they're all
It's like,
squinting at their phone. People who are typing are doing, like, the search and peck.
right. It was a hilarious video. Okay, anyway, the movie pretty much universally beloved. Would you like to take a stab at its Rotten Tomato score?
I think you already told me earlier.
I don't think I did. I think you walked behind me just now. So the audience score is an 89. But the tomato meter, tomometer.
No, tomatometer.
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 I don't think I can say that. Is a 96%.
Wow.
Scary, suspenseful, and thrilling. Halloween set the standard for modern horror films. Anyway, it was very hard to find 1-star reviews. There were plenty of 5-star reviews, but nobody wants to read a glowing review. Those aren't funny in any way. So I did manage to find a couple. This one from Blaze.
Blaze 420 _ -XX.
Just Blaze T. Cheesy, dumb, and often boring. Halloween started very bad humor movie cliche that we all know and hate.
What year?
That is from December 11th, 2018.
Like I always say, you gotta try to review the movie in the time frame that the movie.
But do people hate horror movie cliches? I thought they gave us rules, man.
You got Randy's rules.
Okay. This one, Anthony gave it 1 star. He said it was boring and that Friday the 13th was way better. You should skip this movie. Jared here, he has his full name, like middle initial and last name. That seems like a bit overkill. 1 star, horrible acting. I'll never understand how this is so highly rated. Bad acting is inexcusable in my book. The script is garbage, the lines are so forced, and they often don't wait for each other to finish their sentences. I suppose this is part of the charm. The joke isn't landing here, though.
But in real life, people don't wait for it. There's not a whole sentence pause. You say your sentence.
Oh no, we step on each other all the time.
I don't think the acting was bad.
No, the acting's great. What did they want? Like, you got fucking Jamie Lee Curtis. Like, I know it's her first role. I mean, I didn't care for Linda, but I think that was just Linda's personality. Dr. Loomis is great. I don't know.
I think people are... They always compare it to modern day stuff when you gotta think, like, this was, 1978, the first Halloween movie.
This person said it was too slow-paced, not scary, bummed I purchased it. But I feel like its slow pace stems from them having to tell you what's going on, like establish a story, and kind of create the suspense of the movie. I don't feel like it was as slow as Friday the 13th. Like, that was my chief complaint with Friday the 13th, was that the beginning was so slow, and then they jammed all the killing in, like, the last 30 minutes. I didn't have that problem with this one. And the sequels, I think, are better. Except for 3. I don't know about 3. And then this is my last one, because they were very hard to come by. What a waste of money. How is this thing considered a classic horror film? Like, bitch, this is the classic horror film. Like, this kind of... I mean, there were, of course, horror films, Psycho and all that, but, like, this started, like, this slasher genre of horror films, right?
I mean, I'm sure somebody's going to argue differently, but as far as mainstream,
right.
This was the one.
Right. Like, there were other horror, there were zombie movies, there was, I think Psycho was before this, and The Thing, obviously they were watching The Thing in this movie. But I mean, like, for, like, the silent stalking killer with the knife, this was your first go at that.
I think the takeaway lesson here is fucking double tap. Like, if you find yourself in a situation where you knock a guy over that's been killed, go for the kill.
I feel like that is the lesson I want people to take away from the entire month of October of our podcast.
Double tap?
I mean, except Hocus Pocus. It didn't really need much double taps. But, yeah. Double tap.
I know I've mentioned it in every one of these in October.
Right.
Double tap.
Double tap them. Kill them. If you think they're dead, kill them again. Hit them until your hand cramps up. Kick their face in until it's just a bloody, gooey pile.
Don't give the weapons back.
Don't give the weapon back. Don't be a Lori. Don't just here is your knife, sir, in case you wake up. I'm just gonna lay it right here beside you. Okay, bye.
Think of what you would do in a video game. You don't drop that knife.
No, you take all the weapons.
You take all the weapons. Even if you know you're not going to use them, you sell them later.
You close.
You don't give them
You
back.
stick them in gin.
You stick them in gin. Gin had some big old pockets.
Are you going to give any context here?
In Dead Island, one of the NPCs is basically your storage locker. Her name's Jen. And so, there wasn't a whole lot of inventory space in your backpack. So if you knew of something that you would need, like, I left it in Jen. So we'd have to go all the way back.
Well, I didn't really play the game because it freaked me out. Like, I didn't get very far. But I would just hear you and your friend playing. Like, you would have your headsets on, be playing, and I would just hear, just stick it in gin. Give it to me, I'll put it in gin. Oh, you gotta go back and get that out of gin? Okay. Oh, just stick it in gin again, it's fine. She's got all kinds. I was like, what the actual fuck is going on in this game?
Gin's getting it from all sides.
I was like, I clearly did not make it deep enough to meet this gin.
It's a good game. If anybody likes that, I really like that.
That is another game in which you need to double tap. Even if you didn't kill them and they're already dead, go ahead and kill them again. Because that's where I stopped. When I stepped over a zombie and it came to life and my controller rumbled and I just threw that fucker up in the air and walked away. Like, it scared me. I think I peed a little. It scared me to death.
It was a good game, though.
Yeah.
And I really like you could change the fighting to where if you hold I think the left trigger, you move your right stick.
Like you actually
for
had
whatever
to
was in
swing.
your right arm. Your left stick was your left arm, and you could actually do different angles. Like you could swing and do a hook, or you could do just a straight up jab to the face, or you could uppercut. Or if you had a weapon like a hammer, two-handed, you basically swung in a certain direction. And if they were bent over a certain way, or standing straight up, your angle would help you get a headshot or not. And when you got like the critical headshot where the head just blows off or smashes, it would actually slow down for a second. But yeah, like walking over dead bodies, I always either as I walked past would look at them just so they didn't move, or you just take your hammer and hit them once.
Herschel in The Walking Dead, he stepped over a zombie in the prison, and that's how he lost his damn leg.
He should have made sure.
Do you feel like, clearly video games have taught you lessons of how to survive in a horror movie. You take every weapon, you loot the room, you close the doors,
fucking door.
Close the door behind you, you double tap the murderer.
Like, shut the front door. Remember that.
Right.
What was your last one?
You double tap the murderer.
You double tap anything you kill. Like, you make sure it's dead. Like in Call of Duty, you shoot until you see that 100 pop up. Or, even though if you didn't kill that person, somebody else is behind you, you get the assist.
I will be so sure that, I'm going to direct headshot somebody in Call of Duty, and I'll just be like, pow, pow, and walk away, and then I die, and I'm like, son of a bitch.
There used to be, it might have been one of the earlier Call of Duty games, instead of the 100, you got a normal hit marker, and then when you actually got the kill, you get the red X.
Right.
But when the 100s pop up, you're good.
Don't take that they fall. Because sometimes they just lay down and then they shoot you in the ankle. And even though you've shot them 3 times in the face, they fall down, shoot you in the ankle, and you're dead.
You have to 7 clips, they turn around, throw a knife at you, and they hit you in the forehead.
Punch you. It's all over. See, it's the same clip. She's laying dead in the bed with the Judith Myers tombstone and the jack-o'-lantern on the end table. Or the nightstand. So weird.
Don't cower. She cowers in the corner. You get the fuck
Also,
out.
why doesn't anybody turn the lights on anywhere?
Well, not everybody is blonde at night like you are.
I think I would turn some lights on.
I feel like she should.
In this strange house. And what the hell's her name? Linda? Why did Linda's eyes cross after she died? That's weird.
Alright, she was just having fun with it.
I guess. Do you think they only gave them $300,000 because the premise is what it is, or that was just typical of the time?
It was probably just typical. Probably just what they ended up spending, but...
I mean, they kind of did it on a budget, right? Like, that's why you have the Michael Myers mask that you have, like, where they stretched out a Captain Kirk mask and painted it white. It said that they went to... Now, let me get it right. It says it took less than 2 weeks to write the script.
It's not very long, and one covers,
a night?
2 nights.
Said the mask for Michael Myers was only described as having the pale, neutral features of a man. And for the movie, the design was boiled down to 2 options. Both were cheap latex masks, painted white, and bought for under $2 a piece at a local toy store. One was a replica mask of a clown character called Weary Willie, popularized by the actor Emmett Kelly, and the other was a stretched-out Captain Kirk mask from Star Trek. Carpenter chose the whitewashed Kirk mask because of its eerily blank stare that fit perfectly the Myers character.
It did. I don't think the clown mask would have worked as well.
No, I think that is like the best mask, and it's creepy as hell. Like, even on Halloween night, if I see somebody wearing that, I'm just turning
to work
around.
On Halloween, I'll just wear the mask.
There you go. Be like that. What was it, a TikTok? Where the dad has the mask and the jumpsuit on the bike.
He's just riding a bike through the neighborhood.
But he has the baby in the little back pull-on thing dressed as a skeleton.
Yeah.
So, we've heard from all of those people. What do you think? Universally beloved.
I can agree with that.
I've said for 3 weeks now that this is my favorite of, like, the Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, that Halloween is my favorite.
I would we're rewatching, so I'm kind of going at it with a clean slate. But from what I remember, I would say Freddy's probably my favorite of all those.
Freddy just can't be my favorite, childhood trauma and all.
No!
Yeah, he's so creepy. Now, what do you think about them remaking everything?
I hate remakes.
Because they've remade...
Hate them.
Friday the 13th, they remade Nightmare on Elm Street, they remade Halloween.
I don't think I've watched any of them.
I haven't watched any of them.
But in general, as a rule, I don't like remakes. Like, there's no reason.
Now, who remade Halloween? It was like Rob Zombie or some shit, right?
I think most people like that.
I'm not seeing anything he makes.
Oh, come on. I heard it was pretty good. What else did he make? House of a Thousand Corpses?
Yes, he made House of a Thousand Corpses.
Did he also make The Devil's Rejects?
Yes. 3 from Hell.
We should watch all those movies.
3 from Hell, The Devil's Rejects, House of a Thousand Corpses, Halloween, The Lords of Salem. Yeah, I'm not 31. I don't know what that is, but the picture scares me. No, movies that Rob Zombie made.
No, but you said 30.
Right, is the name of a movie.
That's probably about Halloween.
5 carnival workers are kidnapped the night before Halloween and held hostage on a large compound.
Boom.
At the mercy of their captors, they are forced to play a twisted game of life or death called 31. For the next 12 hours, they must fight for their lives against an endless parade of homicidal maniacs.
That sounds exactly like a movie I would watch.
But the picture is just this bald guy with, like, real creepy clown makeup on.
Sounds exactly like my kind of movie.
Yeah, that sounds like a movie you can watch by yourself, bud. Anyway, review. Stars. Go.
4 out of 5?
That seems fair. I'm going to give it 4.5.
I feel like there's probably only 2 or 3 movies that I will ever watch that'll end up 5 out of 5. Varsity Blues, which most people disagree with. Tombstone.
Tombstone is definitely a 5 out of 5 movie.
Tombstone's good. We'll have to do that one soon. How High. But that's also just me. There's nobody else giving that one a...
Oh my god, no, nobody. Nobody's ever given How High 5 out of 5.
Fight Club was good.
Was it?
Yeah, we're gonna have to watch that one.
Was Fight Club good, or does society just want you to think Fight Club was good?
I think Fight Club was good.
I think society just wants you to think Fight Club was good.
Fight Club was good.
Was Fight Club good like Memento the first time through, and now it's just like, eh?
I remember Memento being pretty good.
Memento is a great movie. The first time.
Yeah, but the first time you got that, you don't know what's
And then I'll give you that the second time, when you're rewatching it being like, motherfucker, the whole time.
Book of Eli's a great movie.
But now it's just like, eh. All right, we're not doing the great movie podcast. We're talking about Halloween.
I would say 4 or 5. What would you say?
I would say 4, 4.5.
I think it's a good movie. I like it. The Doctor is probably one of the better characters.
Dr. Loomis is great. All
right, that's been Run It Back for Halloween. That's it for our,
No, that is it for our October horror movie marathon.
All right, so this has been Run It Back for Halloween. That's it for our October horror marathon. Next week will be The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Apparently.
To kind of blend into the holiday season. You get the last little bit of Halloween, but we're not skipping Thanksgiving. We're not those people.
Spoiler alert, I have never once stayed awake through Nightmare Before Christmas.
You upset all kinds of 30-year-old girls.
I have upset a bunch of people. I'm just putting it out there.
Next week we're doing Nightmare Before Christmas. I think it's a good movie. A couple of my favorite pumpkins to do come from that movie.
Put your money down now if I stay awake.
And you've at this point, once this has been released, you've probably seen them. So stay tuned next Tuesday for that.
Comment on our Instagram and tell us what your favorite horror movie is. Your favorite movie to watch during Halloween.
And show us your pumpkins if you have any.
That's right.
So we'll see you next time. I'm Jason.
I'm Sarah.
And this has been Run It Back.